politicians will respect what we want. It is when we don't want it, and then we go home to relax. People in Kanu, do they have two heads? No. So that Kanu has shown us how to do it. We can do it. If we want to vote and say our votes will count, how many people will they kill? Kenneth Okonkwo is not part of us. He doesn't know what he came from APC to join us. He wasn't part of what we're doing. Never. So if he now goes and Atiku now offers him money to be working for him, and he starts talking,
are you insinuating that he may have taken money for Atiku and he's working for Atiku right now? Is that what you're saying, sir?
My brother, if you see a politician who is not in one place, don't forget who Kenneth is. He's a movie man. He works with the entertainment industry. For him to leave it and now come to politics where we are, you need to have that staying power. We forced him.
So Peter didn't want to contest in 2023. Is that what you're saying?
He never wanted to contest against Atiku. Never.
Oh, so he was so loyal.
He never wanted to go against Atiku. So
he was so loyal to Atiku that he never wanted to contest at the same time with Atiku.
Against Atiku. That was just the truth. So he had somebody say, Peter, disappoint you for what? Were you part of us? Kenneth Okonkwo was never part of us. He was not part of. We formed what we formed in the PDP. Kenneth Okonkwo was in APC. He's not part of us now. So how can you come to Peter disappointed you? Disappointed you for what? You came and joined us. Did you answer what we're doing? You just want to follow any wave that is on without knowing the fundamentals that actually staged and in place that particular movement. I know that the system is afraid of Peter Obi. The government is aware of Peter Obi's performance in the last elections, and they know he is their main problem, not Atiku. Never mind the fraudulent things that INEC wrote. Those things don't mean nothing. They know a lot about the true numbers of the voting results than they are willing to admit to the general public. It was Atiku. He was at the head of that caucus called MPDP. The inside that caucus was Chibika Nechi. And that was how all of them, together with Tinubu, Buhari, and all, floated that coalition called the APC. Atiku didn't have the patience to wait on what his creation will bring. When he saw that Tinubu Buhari was preparing to run for a second term, he now left that coalition called APC and ran back to PDP. If Atiku had respected inclusion, I don't think he would have been running for election in a way that would have damaged the opposition. If Buhari, who identifies as a Fulani, is allowed to be succeeded by Atiku, who also identifies as a Fulani. So why should we have Fulani politicians rule this country for 16 years? Atiku was responsible for the actions in a lot of mosques across the north, where they were preaching in mosque that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. This was what forced Wike into panically trying to now get into heritage denial, because he was seeking for acceptance. And when now, despite his denying being Igbo, they didn't accept him, he now, out of anger, said he would destroy that house. Put you whether you like it or not, it is money from the South that has kept the PDP going. Dele Momodu, was he a member of our party? He's not now. Dele Momodu is not a PDP. He just joined. These are just hired people. They were people who were never part of us. Dele Momodu, Kenneth Okonkwo, all these people were just there to work for Atiku. So they would just parrot these things. If Atiku is real, what they would do is say, fine, it's only to the South. And all of them in the North, the same amount of energy, because they will all participate in the primary. They would then participate and make sure it is zoned to the Southeast. Nobody did that. It was because Atiku refused. Him and other people refused. The issue of Abiola's June 12th. It's the same thing. When they finish ruling in the North and they wanted to now come to the South, some of them will come together and say, no, that was how the June 12th was annulled by a band of Northerners. If Atiku said that is what happened, what about today? Now, this is June. Make statement, you support the South is easy. The reasons the Northerners left with Atiku to form MPDP and then work to bring Buhari to power was because of zoning. So that was why we considered everything to the Northerners. 2019, now is now. If you realize that the mistake of the party in 2023 was not respecting the zoning, say it now. If Atiku says this tomorrow, in realization of my mistake of 2023, I hereby support that the zoning goes to Southeast. Check what will happen. The party will be peaceful. That's why you're hearing Northerners begging him. The last Northerner that talked to him was Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Everybody's been begging him. Leave this thing for the South. He refuses. What you're seeing now is the true Atiku. Atiku paid 100 million to our party to take nominations. When he took that nomination, the 100 million was...
What party are you talking about? The PDP?
PDP.
So he gave 100 million to PDP?
He gave us 100 million to collect nomination form. When he did that, give us that money, the party didn't have money. Wike is only a reaction to Atiku. Atiku Abubakar is the problem of the PDP. Most first-time governors are afraid that their state could be snatched from them and now running over to the APC. Who caused it? Atiku Abubakar. Let Atiku Abubakar, he's now 80 years old. Let him leave. What he's playing at is trying to maximize advantage from the fraudulent creation of states by the army. But we have data to know all this crisis is about the attempt by certain people to exclude the issue. Tinubu is not impossible. Tinubu is human. I know that the system is afraid of P2B. We
You
know
think so?
because they know the truth
You think
about
so?
what, of course, I know so. The government is aware of P2B's performance in the last elections, and they know he is their main problem, not Atiku. Never mind the fraudulent things that INEC wrote. Those things don't mean nothing. We know P2B was the man of the last election. So if acrobatically they refuse to allow the result to stand, and somehow they now brought Tinubu and imposed Tinubu, good. Tinubu would not forget that the position he holds is like Abacha. Abacha never let Abiola rest because they knew, even though they didn't allow Humphrey Musu to announce the election results, Abiola was a person that they had to be afraid of. So if the government today is afraid of P2B, they know a lot about the true numbers of the voting results than they are willing to admit to the general public.
Of all the political parties that are seeking for registration, only ADA has 2 registrations. What could be going on? What drama do you think is playing out with the
Anything
candidate?
can happen. Anything can happen. What we are seeing is we are having a post-mortem of the monster created by people like Erufai, Buhari, and all who worked with them. You know, where I read Erufai the other day that his job is he wants to undo the devil he did.
The
It's
evil.
good that yes, it's good that he's now confessing about the evil that he did. But I want you to understand that that evil he is confessing he did hurt a lot of Nigerians and also undermined our democracy. So and there were a lot of the people there, as your people you actually see, who now come together for meeting as members of coalition, and the people that actually instrumented this evil upon the country. You see, they didn't
Hmm.
understand it. These
Atiku
are the
did not
people
bring in.
who
Atiku
did
did not bring in
bring
Tinubu.
about this.
Amechi did not bring in Tinubu. At least
Yes,
make we
Atiku
know.
did.
Atiku did.
Yes, Amechi did. Yes, Amechi
How?
did. Yes, Atiku did. Let me
Okay.
explain. In
Trying to get it.
2013, Atiku did he called it coalition, the same coalition. And
Yeah, the
that coalition
NPDP.
then, yes, it was the NPDP coalition that became a caucus in the PDP. And that particular caucus, we refused to join it because at that time, I was a principal counsel to president. And Atiku said that we must zoning, that it's about inclusion, that it is something like the quota system, an affirmative action protocol to make sure the note is included. And that good luck that it is not the turn of the note. It was Atiku. He was at the head of that caucus called MPDP. The inside that caucus was Chibika Nechi. And that was how all of them, together with Tinubu, Buhari, and all, floated that coalition called the APC. That coalition got to power, as we all know. What you can say now is when they got to power, Atiku didn't have the patience to wait on what his creation will bring. When he saw that Tinubu Buhari was preparing to run for a second term, he now left that coalition called APC and ran back to PDP. The PDP recognized that the reason why he left was because of his complaint of the inclusion of the North and
Hmm.
allowed only Northerners to run for the 2019 election
2019.
in the
Absolutely.
PDP.
Hmm.
That was why nobody from the South competed against Atiku. Atiku emerged. Now, he didn't win, or he won, but he wasn't strong enough to get it from Buhari, who
Buhari did.
published the results he won, and Atiku ran away to Dubai. Now, at the end of the 8 years of Buhari, Nigerians expect Atiku to understand that the soup he helped to cook has matured for 8 years. It is now the turn of the South to cook their own soup, which is using zoning to allow the thing to go. And when Atiku refused, it was Atiku's refusal to allow the South inclusion after 8 years of the North that forced us in the PDP out of anger to start what you can today call the youth movement, which transmuted into the obedient movement when we got P2B to agree to head that movement. So Atiku is part and parcel of the problems that has gotten us where we are. If Atiku had respected inclusion, I don't think he would have been running for election in a way that would have damaged the opposition. It was because Atiku refused to respect the right of the South to become president after 8 years of the North. That was why we left, specifically me and Doyin Okupe. We left the party and we started the youth movement. Because Doyin asked me, what do we do? I said, listen, the North have done 8 years. We're not getting younger. Let us do this for the South. Because what we do, we're in the public space. I and him get front row seats in front of television. I recognize the clout that I had. So I started that crusading for the Sultanate, but I had no candidate. So after we now built some quality of understanding among some people came to join us. That's why today when I see someone like my friend who came from APC to join me, like Kenneth Okonkwo, and I said, what is he doing? He doesn't even know the reason why we did the obedient movement. He's not running to go, he's going to work with Atiku. Maybe they bought him to come and speak. I said, no, Kenneth, the reason why we did the movement is to force inclusion. Because people like Atiku and some others in the north, with the Fulani mindset of not allowing another people participation, because I believe the Fulani success over the Hausa since the British left makes them to think that the other part of the country will also respect them extrapolatically, also playing their success over the Hausa states in the rest of the country. I don't think so. That will amount to colonialism of the settler form. And that's why we said we cannot allow one tribe to rule for 18 years, for 16 years. And that's what it will be if Buhari, who identifies as a Fulani, is allowed to be succeeded by Atiku, who also identifies as a Fulani. So why should we have Fulani politicians rule this country for 16 years? That was why we said no, and that was why we started the youth movement. Secondly, the Fulani war across the Sahel had just come to Nigeria, and because it was betting in Nigeria, I believe, since Buhari could not control the Fulani militiamen who were coming from Mali, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, and other places to fight in Nigeria, that no Fulani politician can be trusted to hold down the Fulani militiamen. As you can now see in the Northwest, the governors and politicians are even allowing the Fulani militias and terrorists to sit on top of the table because they think they can now use the militiamen to hold land. Because historically, the Fulanis do not have the land, they don't have the numbers to maintain their positions of entitlement that have been their mainstay since the British left. So for me, it is bigger than that. And there were people in the South who didn't understand this strategy. It was even during that period when Atiku started influencing behaviors in mosque to say that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. You heard me well. Let me repeat it now. Atiku was responsible for the actions in a lot of mosques across the north where they were preaching in mosque that nobody should vote for anybody from Eastern Nigeria. This was what forced Wike into panically trying to now get into heritage denial. How can you start denying heritage? Iguacha, which is today renamed Port Harcourt from 1913 to honor Lord Vernon Harcourt, Iguacha is part of the Arab Confederacy territory, which lasted from 1640 to 1903. They were only defeated after the Anglo-Arab Wars. And that was why, after that, the British now from 1901 started national district officers. Nobody had anything like DCs or DOs before 1901. It was in 1901 that the British defeated the Arab Confederacy. And when the Confederacy was in power, Iguacha, today's Port Harcourt, was the principal port of the Arab Confederacy. Quote me. Everybody in Rivers State today were under the Arab Confederacy. The only people who were not under the Arab Confederacy are the Ogonis, who were brought there after the Emancipation Proclamation. Because the Ogonis are historically of the Bantu Congo stock. They came, and as the slave trade ended, they were brought back from Warri and from Bonny and situated where they are today in the greater Port Harcourt area. So we now said, why will Wike, my brother, be denying heritage? Because he was seeking for acceptance. And when now, despite his denying being Igbo, they didn't accept him, he now, out of anger, said he would destroy that house, which, whether he like it or not, it is money from the South that has kept the PDP going. All of them who run for election, from Yaradua to whoever, money from the South, and mostly from that old Eastern region, is what powers the PDP. So why wouldn't you allow Eastern region participation in a game of inclusion premised on zoning? And that's why you see a lot of us from the East got angry. Wike was angry, insisting on what he's doing. If you ask him that, he'll say yes. He insists it has to come to the South. I also said yes, it had to come to the South. And we did it, and then we were able to get P2B to declare and agree to run on our platform, which was called the Obedient Movement. I am doing
Okay.
Yes.
But many would say, especially someone like Dele Momodu, that the chairman of the zoning committee at that time was Wike's friend, Samuel Otom of Benue State. That Atiku was opinion that the PDP ticket be micro-zoned to Southeast. But that it was Wike who insisted that it just be zoned to the South, knowing that amongst all the governors in the South, amongst all the people in the South, he has more wealth in terms of money to get Ghana the delegates to vote for him. And that would have disenfranchised a Peter Obi. Peter Obi would not stand the chance to win a Wike in primaries. So that Atiku wouldn't have contested if Wike had agreed that the ticket be micro-zoned to Southeast. But Wike just wanted it to be zoned to the South. so that he can participate. Because if it was microzone to the southeast, he Wiki cannot participate. Are you countering this particular allegation right now?
Those things you hear are just rhetorics. They are lies. When we had it first, we privately sent somebody from mainstream media to Atiku to say publicly. He denied it. He checked away. Those are social media planted lies. It's not true. If Atiku is such a person, why is he not now allowing it to come to the East? Ask yourself, today. How come he's still insisting he must be present? He must run. It has to be him.
I thought there would be agreement that
Of
he would
course.
adopt somebody from the south to run.
Leave that story. Listen, forget that story. I know Atiku more than you do. And I'm in front of the game. These people, Dele Momodu, was he a member of our party? He's not now. Dele Momodu is not a PDP. He just joined. These are just hired people. They were people who were never part of us. Dele Momodu, Kenneth, Okonkwo, all these people were just there to work for Atiku. So they would just parrot these things. When we heard that story that Atiku saying he should go to Southeast, we privately sent journalists from mainstream media to go talk to Atiku. Denied it. Check any of the mainstream media papers. You will not see it. Those things are social media stories. If Atiku is real, what they will do is say, fine, zone to the south. And all of them in the north, the same amount of energy, because they will not participate in the primary. They will then participate and make sure it is zoned to the southeast. Nobody did that. It was because Atiku refused. Him and other people refused. Let me take you back. The issue of Abiola's June 12th. It's the same thing. When they finish ruling in the north and they want it to now come to the south, some of them will come together and say, no, that was how the June 12th was annulled by a band of northerners. The same thing. It has gotten to the issue of the party. Now you can see it. If Atiku say that is what happened, what about today? Now, this is June. Make statement you support the Southeast. Easy. He knows very well that the party is about now to make an open statement to zone the presidency to the south. That's why, not allowing the party to say it in, he now pulls out, he wants to do coalition. We said, no problem. But the fundamental reasons why we left to start the youth movement, which will later got P2B to head, still persist. So whether you make the argument in the party, like we made the argument in party the 2019, that the reasons the Northerners left with Atiku to form MPDP and then work to bring Buhari to power was because of zoning. So that was why we considered everything to the Northerners. 2019, now. If you realize that the mistake of the party in 2023 was not respecting the zoning, say it now. If Atiku says this tomorrow, in realization of my mistake of 2023, I hereby support that the zoning goes to 22 southeast. Check what will happen. The party will be peaceful. That's why you're hearing Northerners begging him. The last Northerner that talked to him was Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. Everybody's been begging him. Leave this thing for the South. He refuses. What you're seeing now is the true Atiku. Don't listen to people talk crap, people who are not part of us. I am a member till today of the PDP. I've not left. I started the youth movement because I learned from Atiku the way he did MPDP. So we did the youth movement, and then we were able to get Peter. We had hunted Peter. Peter came, and Peter was never part of what we were doing. Peter refused to go against Atiku. He told me that privately. And I saw in him a polite Catholic gentleman. But later on, we were successful in blackmailing Peter for Peter to agree to run. And when he ran, the rest they say is history. So what we are saying is, if you're now talking about us sitting down outside the party to sit down to talk, you have to do an honest postmortem of why we left the party and started the youth movement, which you later got Peter to head, which you now call the Biden movement. If you now want us to bring back that youth movement back to aid the party and then help to rebuild the party, it's very easy. Put Peter there, zone to the south. And we couldn't do that zoning because, forget all the stories you hear about who is somebody's friend. Atiku paid 100 million to our party to take nominations. When he took that nomination, the 100 million was with us.
What party are you talking about? The PDP?
PDP.
So he gave 100 million to PDP.
He gave us 100 million to collect nomination form. When he did that, give us that money, the party didn't have money.
Okay.
So when the party didn't have money, the party was not using that thing. I was amongst members of Ohaneze Imobi, Ohaneze Elders Forum. I am a member of the Ohaneze Elders Council. I went with the Ohaneze president. We were led that time by Professor George Obiozo. We went to visit the PDP chairman at his home in Maitama. And we spoke privately. The chairman took me aside, said, Kachi, I said, sir, he said, listen, this man has given us money, and we're using that money now to run the party. If any of you want us to change zoning, you will have to find a way to give us this money that the man gave us. And we're using the money. That is just the truth. The man was honest. The man later on, because they were spending the money, all those things couldn't happen. Problem with Wike is Wike doesn't have good press. So he couldn't get his own story out. That's why they told those stories and they put it on him as if he is the issue. He's not the issue. Wike is only a reaction to Atiku. Atiku Abubakar is the problem of the PDP, not Wike. Wike is simply a reaction. What about me and Doyin Okukpe, who finally put Peter Obi out? Are we also not part of it? We are reacting to Atiku. That's just the truth. If Atiku had done what an elder statesman will do, realizing that he was part of those who built a coalition that brought Buhari to power, and realizing that Buhari's 8 years was on behalf of North, he would have allowed the zoning to take place, supported it to the south, zoning to the south, the same way he was able to amass them, work with Peter, get it to the southeast, and that's all. There is no way Wike will have defeated. After all, he defeated Wike at the primary. So he could have used such clout to defeat Wike, added to Peter and other people from the southeast and other people around him. This is the party's position. But when the party's leadership was weak, we suffered it. And because we suffered it, our party, the opposition, became broken. Because it was broken, you can see right now, the democracy doesn't even have a very low position because the opposition currently is divided. And that's the problem. So a divided opposition in a democracy not only imperils the democracy, it undermines active governance in the country. You can see it now. Governors are running the other side because they are afraid. The APC have not been very sincere in terms of respecting the protocols of free and fair election. And that's why most first-time governors are afraid that their states could be snatched from them and now running over to the APC so that they can feel comfortable for their re-election. That's what's going on. But who caused it? Atiku Abubakar. Let Atiku Abubakar, he's now 80 years old. Let him leave. What he's playing at is trying to maximize advantage from the fraudulent creation of states by the army. But we have data to know that we know how to defeat everything that he has done. What we did with P2B is called ethnic penetration. We don't stay in Abuja and give the say-sos to one man who could be anybody to look after Benue, look after Taraba, look at Plateau, look at Niger. No, we were going to the people, person by person, one by one, tribe by tribe, ethnicity by ethnicity. We made the Jabba on their own. We made the Jamba on their own. We made the Birom on their own. We talked to TV people on their own. P2B went to see TV people who were displaced, who were living in IDP camps. Atiku couldn't go. Tinubu couldn't go because they were afraid of offending the Fulani people who were in power, and Buhari was running because the war, that time we saw it, we saw the ethnic cleansing. That was the result that they have embraced as a way to gain land. So we knew that in the Middle Belt, houses are being killed, TV people are being killed in the Benue Valley, the people of Kaka and the Pansa were being killed in the Mambila Plains, and we saw that the Biroms were being displaced in Plateau. We met these people one-on-one. We did what we called ethnic penetration. We know those ethnic doesn't have to do with North and South. No, it does with Nigerians one-on-one. And that's what we did. And we do it again. So we don't believe all this crap they are talking about. If Atiku is sincere, let him do what everybody's telling him. Announce that we want to do, can only do it together as a united opposition, not as one gang leading. No, let's have an inclusive country. Atiku is not fair. He became a Nigerian in 1961. And after that, because Atiku was originally born in German Cameroon. So after the Second World War, Germany lost Cameroon to the Allies, who now shared it among the French and the English. So the English now merged in 1961 through the plebiscite, their own part of Cameroon and the north with northern Nigeria. And that's how Atiku became a Nigerian. And I think he has had enough. So let him understand we are doing nation building where inclusion of all parts of Nigeria is utmostly important. And that's what we're saying. All this crisis is about the attempt by certain people to exclude the East. That was the reasons why we came out of fear.
Going back to that accusation,
yes.
Peter Obi is actively part of this coalition led by Atiku Abubakar. Every meeting that they have held, Peter Obi has attended, and we saw videos and evidences of him attending such meetings. How is it that Peter Obi may not be aware of these plans that you're talking about, and he's still attending such meetings?
Peter Obi knows. Peter Obi is aware. But the idea he's doing is, let it not be that he's the one who won't attend and he is not going to go there to damage the coalition. He said, let him attend. Because even before he did the first meeting, some of them foolishly exposed what was in their mind. It's okay, Peter's coming. I think you present, Peter VP. And that was what made me to put out some circulars to say, no, that we, members of the Biden movement, will not support Peter Obi if he ever goes there to become second fiddle. And that stands till this minute. So we say the only way we want a Nigeria of P2B's dream, the only way it can be implemented is if P2B is at the head of that thing. Secondly, we needed to also allow inclusion. You can't put one Fulani man after 8 years of one Fulani president. No, allow inclusion. And right now that you have this Fulani war across Nigeria, it will be dangerous to allow a Fulani politician as president because